Legal experts are starting to get a little concerned about the fact that Attorney General Merrick Garland doesn't appear to be doing anything at all to hold Donald Trump accountable for all of the alleged, we have to say alleged because he hasn't been convicted, crimes that he may have committed over the years, most notably in the run-up to the January 6th Capitol riots. I know we have the select committee looking into all of that, and that's great and wonderful. However, there is literally nothing stopping the Department of Justice from opening their own investigation into this. It could either work alongside the January 6th committee, or it could be its own separate thing. They don't have to wait for the committee. They don't have to even cooperate with the committee if they're conducting their own investigation. They can do what they want to do in pursuit of criminal charges against people like Donald Trump for either inciting the riot, for possibly being a co-conspirator in any of this. Those are things they could at least look at, and they're not. And here's a great example. We have a grand jury in the state of Georgia looking into whether or not Donald Trump interfered with the state of Georgia's election process when he called Brad Raffensperger and told him to go find the votes, which Raffensperger has now said publicly he took that as a threat. Raffensperger and many other Republican officials have already been cooperating with the grand jury. Raffensperger, again, admitted all of that recently. Said they've given over all the information they've requested. They've sat down for interviews. They've talked with them. They've given them everything they've got. So, the DOJ could also be looking into that. Now, they may feel it's redundant because you have a grand jury down there, but it's a grand jury in a state that Trump almost won, a grand jury that could easily be filled with Trump-loving Republicans. So, yeah, it may be a little one-sided. Then, of course, everything happening up in New York, DOJ could be working in tandem with them. They could be conducting their own investigations. They could be investigating the Trump Inaugural Committee instead of letting the DA for the District of Columbia handle that. The DOJ is doing nothing. And the problem I have with this is we've seen this movie before. We saw it when Barack Obama came into office, appointed Eric Holder, and they said, we're going to look forward, not backwards, which meant at the time, we're going to let all of the war criminals from the Bush administration go. We're not even going to investigate them. We're not going to investigate the torture memo, Alberto Gonzales and John Yoo. We're not going to look into that. We're not going to look into the war crimes they committed that we know they committed. We're going to move forward and not look backwards. And President Biden's Department of Justice appears to be doing the same thing. So what happens? We saw what happened with Bush. Nobody was held accountable, so the same ghouls from that administration, some of them moved into the Trump administration. People like John Bolton, pushing for war with Iran during his time in office, getting mad that the Trump administration wouldn't go and attack them. They served as advisors. They've moved on to colleges and universities, giving paid speeches. Condoleezza Rice, is moving into the college football arena. They all lived wonderful, happy lives because Eric Holder and Obama's DOJ didn't bother to hold any of them accountable. Now, what Trump may have done, and again, we have to be very careful with the language here, he has not been accused, of any crimes by the DOJ. He has not been convicted of any either, so it's all alleged. It's all he may have done this. But without those DOJ investigations, we may never get clear answers. And we know what's going to happen if we don't get those answers, if we don't get these investigations. He is going to run again. And he's likely to win again. And that's why legal experts are freaking out hard right now. They know the DOJ could do this. They want the DOJ to do this. Hell, even Democratic lawyers for the Democratic Party, are sitting there openly questioning, why is Merrick Garland doing nothing? Heck, last week, we started to see calls for Merrick Garland's resignation because he hasn't even come out with contempt charges against Steve Bannon. That's a no-brainer. The guy defied a subpoena from the January 6th Select Committee. Lock him up. You or I would have already been locked up for that. So what are you waiting for, Merrick Garland? You're waiting for everybody in the country to hate you? Because I can promise you, that's the path you're headed down. And you're going to tank the Biden administration while you sit there and do nothing.